You are now watching the official YouTube channel for the largest basketball manager game in the world. Join at BuzzerBeater.com if you think you can beat the buzzer.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Bubbles Buzzer Beater, the official Buzzer Beater YouTube channel. I am here with another Buzzer Beater interview, and one that has been much anticipated for at least the two of us. I'm here with Szepiz. Is that
Yep.
how you? Okay. Here with Szepiz
Yeah.
for Hungary U21 national team, and we've been meaning to talk now for, gosh, feels like a little bit under a year. We're coming up on the year mark. So I'm happy we can finally talk. We got an 8-hour time difference, so he's nice enough to chat at 8 in the morning, and I'm nice enough to stay up till midnight to make this happen for everyone. But how are you doing today, sir?
First of all, appreciate and thank you so much. I mean, it's really great to having me here and just get the opportunity to talk to each other. All good. Thank you. I mean, as you just mentioned, I was really waiting for this chat. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and we'll cover a lot of different stuff in this video, primarily looking at, talking about the Hungarian community on Buzzer Beater and talking about the U21 national team. But something I always like to just ask about with anyone I'm interviewing for these is just like, how did you find Buzzer Beater originally, and what got you interested in the website?
We need to go back in time. And what happened actually is I moved to UK, London, back in time. I think it was 2011. And I was just literally looking for something that I can, play with, spare my just, free time after work. And I found BuzzerBeater as a nice basketball strategy game. And I, just log in and started to play while I was moving to a different country. And this is how all it started. So I moved to a different country. I logged in and I was just passionate enough to stick with this game.
Gotcha. I'll say, are you a basketball fan in real life as well? Because I feel like, 85% of people who are on Buzzer Beater love real life basketball as well. And then there's the small group where it's like, no, I just like the manager aspect of it. But are you a real life basketball fan too?
Yes. Yeah, I used to play basketball in a competitive level back in time, but a little bit more than 20 years ago, I had a knee injury, so that was my end of career, I would say. But basketball been always with me, and actually part-time beside my main profession, I'm a basketball coach, so I'm a certified basketball coach as well. So yeah, basketball is definitely in my life.
Yeah, I'll say, I know when we had talked a while ago now, but you had mentioned that there was some like basketball camp you were going to, or I think you said Nick Nurse for the Toronto Raptors coach. He was like at this basketball camp. Will you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean it was fantastic. It was in this summer. I'm sorry, last summer. Um, it was part of an educational program, and in Hungary, you even if you are certified as a basketball coach, but it's like your driving license, and every year you need to, earn points and do other exams and pass exam to just keep up your license. And this academy was, one of the steps in between this earning points for the certification. And it was just a fantastic 2 days basketball clinic. And we had Nick Nurse, I think he was the top guest, and Bob McKillop. So two guys, absolutely amazing. I mean, and they spent 2 days with us, with other people as well, with different topics. So both Nick and Bob were talking about different topics through the 2 days of sessions. Um, it was just fantastic. I mean, what those guys could present and showcase, especially Bob, to be honest. I mean, he's a great speech, and that was fantastic.
Awesome. Honestly, that's so cool. I always like those little stories where it's like once in a lifetime sort of experience, and just Very, very cool. So I
Absolutely.
did just want to touch base
Absolutely.
on that.
Yep.
But also just BuzzerBeater related. I mean, how's season 59 treating your team? I was kind of looking at your league and your team history. And I did see that you have the back-to-back cup final losses, which I'm sure is not very fun, but are you feeling good about how your season was this season with your team?
Well, all good. I mean, to be honest, my club team is not the first priority. So I've been sacrifices pretty much everything because of the U21. Um, I think it's also a big deal, to be honest. I can play in the first league, besides constantly training youth for the youth national team. Um, I'm happy that I managed to go into the finals, twice. Obviously, it's a little bit, hurts that I lost two final games. I would say this year it wasn't a surprise because I had two injuries just before the cup game, so the game shape was low, and the entire setup in my team wasn't 100%. So I knew that it would be my miracle if I could win that. The previous year it was a little bit more surprise. I thought that it's an easy win, and then I lost. But this is what it is. I mean, BuzzerBeater is you know game of database and numbers and um, things. I mean, it can happen. I mean, you need to look for the details, and you need to try to come up with better solution to understand the game engine a little bit better. Um, do some analysis, and then you will be good.
Yeah, yeah. And then just talking about the Hungarian user base as a whole, because I know the USA user base is a decent amount bigger than Hungary, and that's part of the reason why the U21 kind of process that you've had is so impressive because USA, who the Hungary U21 team faced off with in the semifinals of Worlds this season and last Worlds, has over 1,000 users, and Hungary sitting at about 280 users. So could you just talk a little bit about, the Hungarian user base and what your perspective is on that? Because I know certain countries have also seen a little bit of a rise in users, and I'm not sure if Hungary has gotten that benefit or if it's been pretty stable throughout the last couple of seasons.
Um, I think in terms of the active members, I think it's still decreasing, unfortunately. I
Mhm.
mean, if we go back in time when I started to play in BuzzerBeater, um, I don't know the numbers, but what I do know is that we even had a fifth league, fifth division, fifth and fourth.
Yeah.
And nowadays, if you look at Hungary, there are no fourth division at all. So only a couple of Division 3 and 2 and the top league. So I think the user base has drastically decreased. Might be I can say that now it's flat in the past couple of years. So it's not really increasing, not really decreasing. So it's 200 and something. It should be. It is. But in long term, I think we had much more users. And I have my theory why people are leaving, but and I think it really nicely connects to the U21 and the purpose why I'm doing this. But I think we can touch it later.
Awesome. Cool. And then the other thing with Hungary that I wanted to ask you about, and you were telling me a funny story about their team name before we started, but um Dynamo, and I don't even want to try to pronounce the last one, but can you tell me about that translation from Hungarian to English and that team name? Because he's won seven
Yeah,
straight league titles, but there's a
yeah,
funny story behind his name.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah. So let me pronounce it in Hungarian. So it's Dinamo VT Ülöke, and it probably doesn't mean anything to you, but VT Ülöke, it literally means toilet lid, toilet seat. So it's Dynamo toilet lid. Honestly, I don't know why he picked this name. I mean, I'm just guessing, just for funny purposes. But what he's been doing is impressive. Yeah, so he's won seven, titles. He was world number one, I think 2 seasons back. Um, I think I was the first person congratulating to him. So he's been doing some, great stuff. It's
Yeah.
just different. we've been trying to do for U21. This two completely different, group, I would say.
Yeah. So now transitioning to U21, because that's the main thing I wanted to kind of
Mhm.
focus on this video, and that's where you spend most of your time, obviously, on BuzzerBeater.
Yeah.
What made you interested in the U21 team to like take over, or what got you interested in running for the position?
Um, to understand a little bit, we need to go back in that season when I won the Hungarian top league.
Mhm.
Um, and I did that in a way. I was building my team in a special way, and the skill set was special, at least in that time. Might be nowadays it's not that tricky or not miracle, but in that time my setup was tricky or special, I would say. And also I also did that. My total salary, team salary, was, I think, at least 100K lower than the top teams in the first league, and I still managed to dominate that season. And I think I won with 22 or something like that. Um, and that time something was just starting to going into my head. And okay, if I could make this happen in the club level, BuzzerBeater is just a game of database, right? So as far as I know, I mean, I'm not a developer, but as far as I know, it's a game of database. So game engine, analogies, tendency, algorithms, all this stuff. So if I can make something in like club level, then potentially that should work or could work in a different level, in the U21 level. And that was the kind of a motivation. So salary wise, I did something which was unexpected. At least in that times, everyone was trying to create super high salary teams with mono-skilled monsters, and then I came up with my team with 100K salary, lower than the top teams, and I was just dominating the league. Yeah. And I think that was the main driver. And I went and I, did the application, and I was selected. And I said to the community, which wasn't that big, like in the States or in other countries, but I said that, okay, um, it's a strategy, it's an idea. I don't know whether it works or not, but I have my own thoughts, and I have my own idea, and I would like to just follow things that I've made in my club team. And here I am after 10 seasons. I've been doing this, and I personally proud of that, what we achieved. And um, I can talk about a little bit what I've done and how I've done without a secret. Um, but um, but I'm super proud. I mean, now the results are showing something is working in a right way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always interesting because obviously, the results are coming now, but it takes like seasons and seasons and seasons to build up to that point where before, you took over, the last trophy that the Hungary U21 team had was in season 36. And now
Exactly.
in the last 4 seasons, you've placed and gotten a medal or a trophy in every single season since season 56. So really, really impressive there. Um, the other interesting thing I saw was it's always funny because you can tell when a U21 manager or a national team manager is doing well and has the community support when you run in an election and no one chooses to run against you. It's just you're the only one running, and that's what has happened the last couple of seasons. So I take it that your community and you are very, very connected, very close in terms of the U21 team, and you have a lot of people bought into it.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Exactly. And I think that's the key. So if people, other managers will look at this YouTube discussions, I think there is no secret ingredient, or you can name it. This is the secret ingredient, the dedication in the background. So you need a group of dedicated people who can also sacrifice their time and effort, and especially their own club interest sometimes, for something bigger, which would be the youth national team. um, and when I started alone. As I just mentioned, I had my idea and thoughts and vision, what I wanted to achieve. And funny or not, my vision wasn't to be world number one. My vision was to create a community who can support my idea, right? And I think it's very similar in real life. If you would like to build a team, you need to think long. I mean, might be this is not the standard. Still, a lot of people, leaders, managers. I don't like to call them leaders, but managers who play short games and um, prioritize results before people. I'm a little bit different in terms of building teams in real life as well, or coaching my basketball team. So I had the vision to come up with a group of people, dedicated people who can support the idea, and then to grow. And this is what happened. So I started small, right? So I was elected, and I started to send out BB emails and talk to people, and all it started like this. And I think I did this for the first 2 seasons, when I just realized that, okay, something is changing. I have more and more people to talk to. But then literally in 1 or 2 seasons, I think I've reached my capacity, the maximum. I was chit chatting to 10 peoples, simultaneously. And also in BB, if you don't have a subscription, you have limitations in BB emails and letters. And I said, okay, now it's time to do something bigger. So I took a deep breath, and I created a Facebook group, a closed Facebook group, and I was creating topics. I spent a little bit extra time, and I've created topics in advance, yeah, on that group. And I started to invite people to that group. Come to my Facebook group. We cannot just talk in BB. It's not enough. It's not flexible enough. And this is I think it was the most important thing. And people started to join. And now you have an easier communication. Now you know a little bit more about the others. Now you can spend more time. It's easier. It's more flexible. And then after 2 seasons, I just realized that, okay, it is growing. It is getting bigger and bigger. So it's like in a real business model, right? And like in a real enterprise, I was starting to build my team. So I was looking for people who can help me, and we share pretty much the same passion and personalities and attitudes and characteristics. And I ended up now, we are a team of 4. So we've been doing pretty much everything together. But then I also made a couple of slight changes how I manage things, because I think the standard way how different captains and people are running their U21 is, okay, I'm doing what I'm doing, and I have scouts, right? And might be one person is responsible for the 18 years olds, and the other one is for the 19 years old. Sorry. And I was thinking, it's just not enough. I mean, it's not interesting enough for those people. They can easily burn out after some time. So the change that I've made and introduced is, especially I gave more freedom to my guys, and they start with 18 years, and they coordinate through the entire 4 seasons with their own group. Yeah. So there's no scout sticking with one age group. They do the draft. We do it actually together. It's a really coordinated one. We capture everything in Excel sheets, and we talk to all the people in the Facebook group in daily. You go for that guy. You try to purchase that guy. You draft that guy, and we capture everything. It's like a big project. And then I leave it, and I leave the group with that guy, and he coordinates through the entire 3 seasons until year 21, when I take it over for the live season. And I think it gave a much more interest, motivation, and everything to the people as well. So they don't stick with just every time repeat the same exercise, scouting, BB emails, talking to people. I gave them the flexibility. I trust them. we have meetings, right? In in real time. Yeah, literally, we have meetings. We have a shared spreadsheet in the cloud, and everyone could, incorporate their own stuff into there. And then we follow up things, and regularly we look at the age groups, and we talk. Okay, you think the training plan should be that or this way, and then we adjust if we need to. And this is, I think, the next important stuff. We always refine our process. We always rethink, and we always try to incorporate new stuff. You have to have open eyes. You have to be active in BuzzerBeater. Maybe I'm not active in writing in the Hungarian forums because I don't need to, because all the necessary people are in the Facebook group, and we are silent as a nation, right? If you go to the Hungarian forum, you cannot see anything, but daily, 50 or 60 managers are talking to each other, which is great. And now I have full coverage to all the 4 age groups. And you can, imagine these 4 projects running parallel, 4 years of cycles, and I have full coverage. So I have 10 plus managers, or even 15 plus managers to each age group. And I think that's the biggest thing. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that's the only reason why we are world rank number 3 now, because we have constant and dedicated group of people, and now we have quality trainings in each year. And the key here is the quality trainings each year, because I'm sure a lot of managers are in the same shoe, but I was in a couple of seasons back. The randomness factor is just so big if you don't have the dedicated group of,
Game shape is crazy when you don't have like people that you trust.
Game shape or the talents and the training, right? So you can have a super talent, you can have a super training through your entire 4 seasons, and maybe you will end up with a team on the live season saying that, okay, I have 1 or 2 super talents and the rest are just average, and then your result will be average. But the difference now, and the reason why we were able to manage to go into the top 4 seasons in a row, because the consistency, right, and the level of the quality of the training. So now I don't have 1 or 2 exceptional guys. I have my entire team exceptional. So it's not like, you have one guy who can change the world and then the rest will be just average. No, literally nowadays, this year, 1, 2 seasons back, I think my 7th, 8th, or even the 10th guy was even better than the first season's top guys.
Gotcha.
Which is, I think, is great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, the structure that you said of giving your staff more flexibility and just more freedom to kind of be involved for a longer time, because like you said, the repetitive nature of, okay, you're reaching out to these 18s, tell them to train inside defense or whatever you want the process to be, it gets very redundant and very kind of boring for them. So I think your structure is really good. And for reference, for those of you who are listening, I believe Hungary, when you took over, started out as the 56th ranked team in the world. And all the way up to 3rd just shows that the process is definitely working. So another question that I've been curious about is, obviously the number of users and just number of staff that you have available is one of the biggest barriers, but are there any other challenges that you experience more facing off with other U21 teams? Because I know Europe is a bit of a beast when it comes to, Spain, 1,200 users, Poland, 900 users. Like there's a ton of very prevalent BB communities across Europe. What's the hardest thing or a challenge that you've noticed facing it off with these other teams who have more users?
Again, I'm just guessing. So these are my thoughts, because I cannot prove this, but many times I send an email to BB admins, just try to validate my thoughts, but I didn't really have the right answer. But if you look at the draft, and if you look at the distribution of talents and skill sets, after 10 years, and we do have our database, so this is something that you can rely on now. So what I can see, again, this is just for Hungary, but I think it could be something similar, but in a bigger scale, and that's the trick. So I would say a good 70% of our draft are just trash. Just trash. And then the remaining 30%, if you look at the distribution in between that 30%, now here comes the trick. I mean, I'm 100% sure that you don't need Hall of Famers and even MVP talents for point guards, shooting guards, and small forwards. You just don't. I mean, in 4 seasons, you cannot have any kind of super training plan to cap those players. So you don't need them. That's good. This is exactly what gives us the benefits. I mean, when you realize this, and now I'm sharing this, if it was a secret to other managers, you don't need Hall of Famers. So don't blame the system, or don't blame the developers just because in your draft you don't have that many Hall of Famers and MVPs. Position 1 to 3, you don't need them. That's good. Where the problem comes is the center and power for positions. This is where you need potential because of the because of the super strong and powerful trainings on main skills. If you don't have a Hall of Famer, then that could be a problem. So we are in that stage, and I can tell this. I think it's not a secret. I mean, all those managers who are in the same level pretty much know what type of players we have. But I think even an MVP caliber is something that we can max out and cap out in 3 years.
Yeah.
So the year of 20 is already capped, pretty much. We can do that. We can do that. And so this is where it comes tricky. And then you have the national team, the big team, and obviously they would like to work with Hall of Famers pretty much as a minimum, because this is what they can train long term. Yeah. And now we have a good collaboration with the team. They have a new captain, and that guy is more flexible and open with my idea as well. So now we have I think it's a closer cooperation and collaboration to each other. So we both can benefit. So I can incorporate more Hall of Famers into U21, and they accept a little bit more, changes from my side, which it's not a harm in long term for their program, I would say. But numbers are numbers. I mean, we cannot compete with over thousands of draftees of United States or Spain or Poland or even Lithuania, who are almost have 700 players. Sorry. So again, if you look at the distribution, they will have more talents. But I think the most important thing is the skill set and the starting skill set, the TSP. So I believe for U21, the starting skill set is the first priority. So you need to select, you need to prioritize. And if you don't have it, then pretty much you can say that that age group will not win the tournament 4 years later, because of the draft. I can guarantee now, after 10 years, if I look at the database, after 1.5, 2 weeks of the draft, if I look at the spreadsheet and I can see that what are my 18 years starting skill sets, pretty much we can position ourselves what would be the end result. Now we can consistently train good quality players. That's good. We are in top 4 pretty much every time. But you cannot compete players who starts with 60 TSP at the age of 18 with someone who is starting with a 45.
Yeah.
That 15 skills gap is just something that you cannot catch in 4 seasons. And because of the big numbers, I'm 100% sure that you have more good starting skills guys than us. And when we compete to each other and you narrow it down and we are in the top, 1 to 6, I think it counts. And we played now, a week ago, we played a good game against, your team.
Yeah, you guys always scare us. Every time we see you, we're a little bit scared.
Yeah. To be honest, I was 99% confident that we can win the game. How it started, it was a little bit disappointing, but I know that this is a game of database and game engine, so it's just a framework what we can see, but I was pretty much confident that now this is the time when we can beat USA, and it almost happened. There are two things that I'm still trying to figure out. One is that I just mentioned, for sure, because of the big numbers, you could have, and Poland and Spain and Lithuania and all the big nations could have more good starting skills youngs, and that matters. This is something that we cannot overcome. If you have more 60, TSP guys, then it's a huge benefit. It's a huge benefit. And the other thing is some sort of special skill set. And the only team, it's not because I'm talking to you, but the only team where I'm not 100% sure is the USA. It's a US team that I'm not sure what you guys are doing, and there should be some sort of trick, or there should be something that I still don't know. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just the numbers. Maybe it's just you have much more talent. I don't know, but I think that there should be something else, because I look into the tendencies. We did a lot of analysis as well, and I look into the tendencies, and I can see a couple of things which I'm not going to tell now. I'm not going to give this disadvantage to other managers, but we can see something happening in every year. But we just don't know what is really happening. But we will find it out. We will find it out.
Yeah, I'll say part of the, like you said, part of the perk of having way more users is that the sheer number of those 60 total skill point players, like the draftees, is one, but it also gives us the flexibility that you guys don't have, where we can experiment a little bit more than you might be able to, where those players for Hungary who are like towards the top of the draft board and towards the top of, the prospects for tournaments later on, there's like a certain way that you kind of have to train them that that works. Whereas for larger countries, potentially it's like, okay, well, we know we have these 12 players and we know that only 6 of them are ultimately going to make the team. So we can specialize a little bit. We can have managers try different things. And I think that might be part of the things that you're noticing, where you just see some players on our roster or some other rosters where it's like that. I don't quite understand what's going on, but they're definitely different. And I think that specialization of them, you just get a little bit more flexibility when there's a lot more users.
Yeah, 100% agree. And personally, I'm a big believer of specialization, and we always build our teams in a special way. So there's no way that we will have 10, 15 TSP wise good, right? So now I can easily say that, all of our players are over 100 TSP. Back in time when I started, it wasn't the case. Sorry. I was super excited and I was so happy that, we could train a player over 100. Now, after 10 years, it's just very the basic, right?
Yeah, now it's like, well, they better be 100 total skill points.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can tell you something. It's not that secret anymore, and maybe this is not that big surprise to you in the States, or might be in Spain, but might be managers who will be watching and listening to this. Could be. So we had a guy this season. Who actually ended up with 123 TSP in the U21. So that's crazy. I mean, and I'm just telling to these other managers again. If I go back in time when I started, it was just something like, can we train someone in 4 seasons over 100 TSP? And we had a debate. Is it possible or not? Now we had a guy with 123 TSP. which is crazy. And I know that this is exceptional, even in the States.
Oh,
I'm sure you don't have 10 people with 123 TSP. Might be one or two, and it could be the game changer. But we had one. But I can guarantee that year by year, our entire roster is over 100. So that's a pretty significant quality difference, I think.
yeah. I'll say I don't think Antoine will kill me for saying this, but yeah, we don't have a single player at 123 total skill points. So the fact that you guys get that up there this season, like awesome. And obviously our players, they do different things, and total skill points not necessarily always like the goal. Like, yes, you want them as high as
No.
possible, but there's different ways to build players. But yeah, 123 total skill points. When I used to coach the U21 team back in seasons 27 through, let's see, 26 through 29, like 120 skill points. I was like, that they'd be cheating. I'd be reporting them to the
Yeah.
BVs. So
Yeah, but
123.
again, yeah, but the trick is that, I mean, that it's also not a secret. So that guy had almost 60 TSP as a starting guy, and this is that gap that you cannot compete with. If you have these starting skills in 4 seasons, there's no way that you can catch. In long term for the national team, yes, but for U21, if the more you can have from these type of guys, the better the team will be. That's for sure. And if you don't mind, just go back in. I'm going back to the specialization. I'm crazy with this topic. And I'm happy that all the people are also supporting and believing in this trust. But we always specialize our teams. So I can go crazy and I can come up with an idea. Okay, and now we go in that direction, and we will have a point guard with 15 inside shots, right? It's crazy in U21, but I'm crazy on these ideas. So we've been trying out, new things, because I do believe that in long term, you will not succeed if you can have 110 TSP players, all players in your roster, but they will be just overaged. Yeah. So TSP wise, good, but in terms of skill set, it's just average. So your team performance will be average. You need to be specialized to somewhere, and you need to. What we do personally in Hungary with my guys, we do pretty much the specialization after the draft, because you can see the big picture. Yeah,
Mhm.
you see the database, you see the spreadsheet, you know what are the starting skills. Yeah, and there's no space and times in 4 seasons. So if someone is starting with 7 jump shot but 3 jump range, there's no way that you will sacrifice time to raise or train that jump range to a 14 to be able to shoot or dominate from outside. No, and you can look at the spreadsheets and you can just visualize that, okay, in long run for this age group, that strategy will be the best. And then we train in that path, and even that path we try to specialize.
Oh. Yeah, another thing that I was curious about is I know for the USA, another benefit that we kind of have when looking at U21 players is that there'll be some players who are 20 years old that can play during our Americas season, because our Continentals is not the gauntlet that is Europe, where, when we're playing Bolivia or when we're playing Bahamas, like we're not concerned about losing that game. So
Yeah.
we can afford to play some more 20-year-old players, or really focus on, like you said, commitment of managers is a huge part of it, where if we can have more of our more committed managers just focus on the world season, then that benefits us. But I've been curious, what is your opinion in terms of what's a more difficult tournament, the European Continentals or Worlds? Because I know they're very different in terms of structure. But what was your preference, or what was your opinion on that?
Yeah, the structure is different, and I would say the Europe Championship is harder than the World Championship. For me or for us, the World Championship is always about your team, United States, because all the others are coming from Europe. let's be honest. If you look at the top four, the semifinals and the finals, every time it's Europe plus United States. Yeah. So if you look at the Euro Championship, European teams, I think overall it's stronger. And then we have United States, just in real life, right? Still coming back in time, 1992 from the Dream Team. You're just dominating everything in terms of basketball. Something similar. So I think Europe Championship is harder, not just because of the structure, but because of the teams. But how we start the actual championship, it's easier because if you look at the World Championship, it's more dense, I would say. So, really the top teams are there, and from the beginning, you need to compete pretty much. If you look at the Euro Championship, might be the first round or the first group. So your first 4, 5, or 6 games are easier because it's a bigger group, more teams, and there are lots of weaker teams, so it gives a little bit more time, a little bit more flexibility to your team to adjust the training plan and catch up. And the second round is where it really starts. But it's easier. You don't bring your points to the second round. In the World Championship, you do. So I would say the Euro Cup is a little bit harder, and the teams are harder.
Yeah,
In
I
World
think
Championship,
I think that's part of the reason that the new world structure that's in place to kind of benefit more European teams potentially getting into Worlds, because I know the structure for who makes it has changed now. Is that new world structure on how teams get placed and get entered into the Worlds tournament change at all your thought process for the Continental tournament, or is it still about the same for what you're looking at doing?
I think our approach is the same. I think we are happy with the new changes. The old one was a little bit awkward, especially if you had to go into repechage. That was
it was not good.
It was not good. But overall, I think our approach is the same. And one more important thing that I would like to share, and again, it's not a secret part, but I think it's do important. So besides that, I gave a little bit more flexibility to the guys who are in the team, and those guys, great. Trust me. I mean, we will not hear without them. So after the first and second season I just mentioned, I started to build this enterprise, and I was looking for same caliber people who can support this idea, and I have a super team. So they are all the 3 guys are just fantastic. But the other thing is what I've created. This is a U21 program, and rather than just asking people to, hey, you have a talent, would you mind to train for the team, and can you just follow this training plan? This is what happened, I think, in the past, and I'm sure this is what is happening in most of the countries, right? 1 or 2 BB emails, oh, can you do this, and then it's just super crazy, super hard to follow things up during the season. You cannot invite people into the roster, and it's hard. But what I've done is, and the whole idea behind the U21 program is trying to create a win-win situation for the managers. And we never ask anyone to just train. We offer a couple of things, and these are coaching or mentorship, and helping to build their teams, helping them to understand the game engine a little bit better. And in this way, you will find more passionate people, because they appreciate our help. Whether it takes a lot, it takes a lot. We sacrifice a lot of free times.
Oh yeah, I know you do.
To talk
I'll
to
say it's busy job.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You need to talk to people, but we offer this. We are not just asking can you train this guy and then leave it alone? It happened so many times, and many managers just left BB because maybe they were just training one or two players and they went bankrupt because no one actually took the time and effort to help them to grow and help them to understand how this game should look like in long term, because it's a long term game, right? BB is not bad, as many people know. You just have to have a plan, and you have to be patient, and you have to execute it. And this is where we come into the picture. We offer this kind of mentorship, and even if someone is joining to our group and he or she is happy to be a U21 program member and he or she is happy to start to train, maybe we say no, be with us in additional 1 or 2 seasons, and we help you to establish the right background, build your stadium, make it efficient for you, try to come up with the best. And we sacrifice maybe 1 or 2 seasons without that person is actually training for us. That's the crazy stuff. And this is where I think we shine, and this is where we are here, because it's a small community, but we grow quality wise for sure. And we sacrifice, and I launched a couple of seasons back, I launched a Utopia program as well. So now we have already fresh Utopia teams already included in the U21 program, because we sacrificed 4 to 5 seasons just to build those teams from scratch. Yeah. And we do have a plan how you can do this in relatively fast. Fast means at least 4 seasons. But in 4 seasons, I would say, I mean, you can do this in 2, but if you would like to do this in a really good shape, then it's pretty much 1 cycle. So 4 seasons you sacrifice from scratch, then you will have a stadium with over 10,000. You will have money in your bank, around 1 million. You will have a little bit of team, and now you start to train and you will enjoy the game. You can make progress, you can make some results, and this is how we grow together. And I think this is also one of the key behind the U21 program.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. One other thing I wanted to touch on before we kind of start to wrap up this episode. I know it's going a little bit longer, but we have so many interesting, fun things to discuss.
I'm happy.
I'm happy. But for players, I know for U21, I always had some favorite players that I loved, and I only did 4 seasons, but I still remember Sam Lindley, Stuart Tripp, like my favorite little kiddos that I had on my team. Do you have a couple favorite players that you've had in your tenure as the U21 manager for Hungary?
I think no, and yes. For me, the more important thing is that just the grow and keep the consistency. And every year we come up with better players. But maybe I can think of one guy. I'm not going into the details. I'm not telling you that which season we had that guy, but we had a really crazy guy with inside defense 20 and shot blocking 19.
That'll do it.
Yeah, and I can tell you that it wasn't the final set. So he had more skills, but the inside defense was 20 and shot blocking was 19. That's some crazy and funny stuff. All the others, I mean, this year I'm super proud of that 123 TSP guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure this is exceptional. I'm sure that skill set is super top. If I would show this to you or Spain or everyone would say that, well, yeah, this is a super talent and train. But overall, I don't have favorite players. They each play a role. We always try to appreciate all these managers. But I think the biggest deal is that they are also happy. I have a lot of feedback. A lot of managers are saying that, look, thanks for coaching us, thanks for helping us. Might be I would have left this game 2 seasons back or 10 seasons back, but because of your help, because of your program, we understood the game in much better, and now we can enjoy it. And you can choose between different play styles. Yeah, I have a new idea in my head with my club team. What I would like to create the ultimate defensive team, where
Yeah.
you have shot blocking in 5 positions, and it's just crazy. I mean, if you are if you are experienced in training people, you know that this is different. I mean, you can have shot blocking for the center and power forward, but have the same shot blocking for point guard, shooting guard, and but I will do this at some point. I mean, this drives me to experiment things. In the past couple of seasons, I was just experimenting in the 3-2 zone, and if you look at my results and my club results, I was just dominating. I think I intentionally we do this. I think most of the people do this, but intentionally sometimes we go to the last spot. I mean, we intentionally just go down one division because of the draft. You
Yeah.
want to draft from the first, and then I can easily come back in 2 seasons. And in that time, 2 or 3 seasons back, I was dominating, and I think I did 2 seasons in a row without even one loss. And I was just experimenting a team with 3-2 zone. I set my team to support that, and I went, I think, 40-0 or something. This is also something that you can show to people to experiment, right? But
Mhm.
one thing is super important, and I think it resonates well in real life experience as well. You have to have flexibility. You have to have freedom to be able to change. And I'm not talking about money. Money is important, but just in real life, I tend to call it more freedom or flexibility. Um, I am free to change. I have the flexibility to change. I always try to keep my team, valuable, meaning that I can, if I want, I can really quickly sell people for money, a good value, and I can just, restructure my team if I want. And this is super important because, and maybe this is the final message to this video. My final advice to people, other managers, you have to have flexibility, otherwise you will stuck. And that is the hardest time, and that is when you start to feel that, I cannot make anything, I cannot make any progress, I don't have results, and I'm stuck. And okay, I'm happy to change, but how can I change? I don't have money, my people are my players are old, and I stuck. You have to have flexibility, and to have flexibility you need a plan.
Yeah, that's awesome. I couldn't sum it up better myself. So very, very well spoken there. Um, we'll probably look at closing out the video now, but just the last thing before we go, and thank you for your time. You're planning on running for U21 again next season, right?
Yes. Yeah,
Cool.
sure.
And then I guess, what goals do you have for Hungary in the upcoming seasons? Does the goal stay the same of we're shooting for gold, or we're just trying to continue this momentum, or what is the primary goal you have for the next couple seasons?
So again, the primary goal is always to keep the community together. Um, Again, I never had a goal to be a world champion. My goal was always to build a community and have a dedicated group, and build this like an enterprise or the real business, which is now we have it. It is working. It's great. And now I think I can say that if I don't want to continue, I can just leave it one of my guys, they can apply for it and they can continue because we have the machine is going on. Um, so in terms of goal, now we are a little bit more, hungry, I would say. So we would like to get the gold medal, and I'm sure we will. We just need a little bit more. I don't like to use luck, but it's still all about the draft. And if you have that age group, when you have those TSP talents, I'm not talking about, again, Hall of Famers, just the starting skill set. If you have that right, a little bit more than the average, then we can make it, I think. Otherwise, I think the community and the whole machine is the most important. People are the most important. If they enjoy it, if they still support, if they feel themselves okay, if they feel themselves, safe in the environment, that they can grow, they can support, that's the most important thing for me.
Awesome.
And the results will come.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, I will go ahead and let you go then. I know you have some stuff here in a little bit, and we are looking at about 1:15 a.m. for me now, so I'll probably edit this tomorrow for you. But I appreciate your time. It was awesome getting to talk with you, and we'll have to make sure that this isn't the last time we talk. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me. And now, when you hit that button, turn it off and just go to the bed and sleep.
Awesome. All right. Well, you have a good rest of your night, okay? Or good rest of
You
your
too.
day.
Yeah, day. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Take care.
All right. You too.